You put out a statement jointly with the Religious Leaders Commission of New York, people that we've had on the show recently.
Yeah,
Rabbi
thanks
Potasnik and A.R. Bernard, Pastor A.R. Bernard.
Yeah, thanks for reminding us that we have something here in New York called the Commission of Religious Leaders, Choral. Rabbi Potasnik and Reverend Bernard and myself would be the executive committee. And very often at times of crisis, we just feel that, maybe they need a word of reminder of the faith and spiritual values. And we tried to do that. We quoted from the Bible. We observed how unjust and how terrifying was the murder of, and apparently that's what the experts are now calling it, of Mr. Floyd in Minneapolis. We quoted his mother and brother who called for peace and for us to abhor violence and not to exacerbate a situation that hopefully could lead to peace and reconciliation and the furthering of justice. We just felt we needed to weigh in. Look, we're not politicians. We're not experts on police. We're not experts on crowd control, but we are supposed to be somewhat well-versed in God and God's revelation. So we felt maybe we can kind of bring an ointment to a very troubled situation.
Well, and we're right here in the epicenter of a lot of the protests, both peaceful protests as well as violence. A lot of our major cities across our listening area, places like San Francisco, Minneapolis, of course, Atlanta.
They're all there.
Just terrible, terrible violence.
Yeah, you know what seems clear, Father Dave, and we got to be rational. We got to be calm. A lot of people have saying to me, what do you think's behind all this violence and all? And I said, well, it's tough to say because it's so irrational. Yeah. There's no reason there. There's no sense. It just seems mindless and destructive. But there are certain things we can say. First of all, that the action against Mr. Floyd in Minneapolis was vicious. It needs to be condemned. It needs to be investigated. It needs to be tagged for what it is, a miscarriage of justice. Secondly, we need to say that our police officers are tremendous people. They work hard. They try to be fair. They put their life on the line. They're willing to defend human life and the dignity of the human person. I've gotten to know and love them here in New York, and darn it, they are wonderful people. They cannot be caricatured because of the action of one member. We priests know that, Father Dave, right?
We do.
You and I know that 99% of our priests lead virtuous, impeccable, heroic, generous lives, but we're all tarred because of the nauseating actions of a tiny majority of priests, and we don't want that to happen to the police officers. God bless them and God protect them, and they're doing their best, and we love them and appreciate what they do, and they can't be caricatured, which doesn't blind us to the injustice and the terrible misbehavior of a few of their members that needs to be tagged and needs to be eradicated. The other thing we got to avoid, don't we, Father Dave? Chime in here if you think I'm off on a tangent here.
I don't think so. I think this is important.
Nor can we condemn the protesters. The overwhelming majority of the protesters are peaceful. They're thoughtful. They want to make a statement. And I think it's a very Christian statement. Yeah. It's the dignity of the human person and the sacredness of human life. They want to make a peaceful statement, and their rights need to be protected, and hats off to them, as a number of even our police officers are saying. We don't want to caricature them or rush to judgment on them because of the terrible behavior of a tiny minority of people who resort to violence. And even when I talk to the police officers here, as I very often do, they say, Cardinal Dolan, boy, most of the demonstrators are thoughtful. They love this country. They're calling us back to everything that is good and decent and just and honorable. And do not confuse them with these vicious protesters who resort to violence, many of whom have come from the outside. That's what the police are telling me. So we got to avoid this painting with a wide brush, right? And we got to stick to some of the facts. I hope I've been able to do that.